Hi, thank you for joining us this evening. Let's talk about Psycho. Psycho is a 1960 American psychological horror film directed and produced by Alfred Hitchcock. And written by Joseph Stefano, it stars Anthony Perkins, Janet Leigh, John Garvin, Vera Miles, and Martin Balsam, and was based on the 1959 novel of the same name by Robert Bloch. The film centers on an encounter between a secretary, Marion Crane, played by Lee, who ends up at a secluded motel after stealing money from her employer, and the motel's owner-manager, Norman Bates, who's played by Perkins, and its aftermath.
Psycho is seen as a departure from Hitchcock's previous films, North by Northwest, having been filmed on a low budget in black and white and by a television crew. The film initially received mixed reviews, but outstanding box office returns prompted reconsideration, which led to overwhelming critical acclaim and 4 Academy Award nominations, including Best Supporting Actress for Lee and Best Director for Hitchcock. Psycho is now considered one of Hitchcock's best films and praised as a major artwork, and is widely considered to be the earliest example of the slasher film genre.
Yes, Sir Alfred Hitchcock, who is one of the many great filmmakers of suspense, becoming as well known as any of his actors thanks to his many interviews, his cameo performances in most of his films, and his hosting of Alfred Hitchcock's Presents, which aired from 1955 to 1960.
Born in the outskirts of London, he was a writer for a telegraph cable company. He made his directorial debut with The Pleasure Garden. You're very kind.
It's all for you. I'm not really hungry. Please, go ahead. You eat like a bird.
You would know, would you?
Not really. I hear that expression that one eats like a bird is really a falsity. I mean, falsity, because birds eat a tremendous lot. Not that I know anything about birds. My hobby is stuffing things, taxidermy. And I guess I'd rather just stuff birds because, well, I hate the look of beasts, and when they're stuffed, foxes and chimps and all of the people who even stuff dogs and cats, well, I just can't. I think only birds look well stuffed because they're rather passive. To begin with, most of them.
It's a strange hobby. Curious, I mean.
Uncommon, too.
I imagine so.
It's not expensive as you think. Cheap, really. Needles, thread, sawdust. The chemicals are all that cost anything.
A man should have a hobby.
It's more than a hobby. Sometimes a hobby is supposed to pass the time, not fill it.
Is your time so empty?
Oh no. I run the office, tend cabins and grounds, do little chores for mother. The ones she allows me that I'm capable of doing.
You go out with friends?
Friends? Who needs friends? A boy's best friend is his mother. You've never had an empty moment in your whole life, have you?
Only my share.
Where are you going? I don't mean to pry.
I'm going to try to find my own private island.
What are you running away from?
Why do you say that?
Well, no, it's just people don't really have anything to run away from. People don't run away from anything. The rain didn't last very long. You know what I think? I think we're all in private traps, clamped in them, and none of us can climb out. We scratch and claw, but only in the air, only at each other. And for all of it, we never budge an inch.
Sometimes we deliberately step into those traps.
I was born in mine. I don't mind it anymore.
You should. You should mind.
Oh, I do. I just say I don't.
Well, if anybody ever spoke to me the way she spoke to you, I don't think I could ever laugh again.
Sometimes when she talks to me that way, I'd like to curse her out and leave her forever. Or at least defy her. But I couldn't. She's ill.
She sounded strong.
I mean ill. She had to raise me all by herself after my dad died. I was only 5. And it must have been a strain. She didn't have to go, out to work or anything. Dad left us with a little something. Anyway, a few years ago, Mother met a man. He talked her into building this motel. We could have talked her into anything. And I was just too much for her when, he died too. And the way he died. Well, it's nothing, to talk about when you're eating. Anyway, it was too much of a loss for Mother. She had nothing left.
Except you.
A son is a poor excuse for a lover.
Why don't you just go away?
To a private island? Like you?
No, not like me.
It's too late for me. And besides, who'd look after her? She'd be alone up there, the fire would go out, damp and cold, like a grave. When you love someone, you don't do that to them, even if you hate them. I don't hate her. I hate what she's become. I hate the illness.
Wouldn't it be better if you put her in someplace?
An institution? A madhouse? People always call a madhouse someplace. Put her in some place?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sound uncaring.
Well, what do you mean about caring? Have you ever seen one of those places? Do you know what happens inside those places? Laughing and tears and cruel eyes studying you? Am my mother there? Why? Has she harmed you? She's as harmless as one of these stuffed birds.
I'm sorry, I only felt... It
Well,
seemed like she was harming
Well, you mean well. People always mean well. They cluck their thick tongues and shake their heads as if just so delicately that... I've suggested it myself, but I hate to think such a thing. She needs me, and it isn't as if she were a maniac, a raving thing. She just, sometimes she goes a little mad. We all go mad sometimes. Haven't you?
Yeah, I think just one time can be enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Norman.
Norman.
Well, you're not leaving to your room already.
I'm very tired, and I'll have a long drive back tomorrow, all the way to Phoenix.
Phoenix?
Yeah, I realize I stepped into my own private trap, and I need to find a way to get out of it before it's too late.